Now tell me you haven't ever wandered past a beautiful garden and thought, wow, how do they do that? Garden beds filled with lush and healthy plants and loads of flowers and fruit. Your first thought is, they must spend all their time in the garden. Well, in some cases you might be right, but there's one thing all of these gardens will have in common: they'll be well fed. You can feed your garden the old school way, regularly forking in manures and composts, or you can take a more time and back-friendly approach and use a modern fertiliser. The range available really is vast, so let's take a look at a few basics to help you make the right choice. The dry fertilisers fall into three main groups: the basic, more traditional granulated products, the more advanced slow-release type of fertilisers, and the smart, modern, controlled release fertilisers. The granulated products are in many cases crushed and blended minerals or synthetic blends. They contain a balance of nutrients, but because of their somewhat basic nature, they can contain trace levels of toxic heavy metals too. They tend to be dusty and random to apply, and most need to be reapplied quite frequently. This is because they pretty much dump their nutrients into the soil as fast as they can. The logic is that your plants will grab some nutrients as they flush through. This means they're not a very sustainable way to feed, as you get a lot of nutrient runoff, and some of these products can acidify the soil, making it harder for plants to uptake nutrients. Slow-release fertilisers are a bit different, as their particle size is more consistent. This is to even out the release of nutrients. Once wet, they will, however, just continuously break down and release nutrients into the soil, whether plants need them or not. Now that's okay with something like a lawn food where the grass will suck it up, but it's not ideal in your garden beds. And again, you have the potential issue of excess nutrients being flushed through and ending up in the local environment. There is, however, a smarter choice that I like to think of as the place where science and sustainable ideas meet: controlled release fertilisers. The main components have a name. They're called prills. You might look at them and think they are just neat little fertiliser balls, but they're much more than that. The coating is multi-layers of permeable and biodegradable soy product, and inside each little prill is a balanced microdose of nutrients. As the prills get wet, they absorb tiny amounts of moisture, and this dissolves the fertiliser inside. And this is the really clever bit: the coating won't release those dissolved nutrients until the temperature's in the right range for plant growth. In other words, your plants are only being fed as they need to be fed, not being flooded with nutrients 24/7. Using a controlled release fertiliser means that your plants are being fed just the right amount when they need it. You are feeding less often and more effectively, which of course is more economical, and it's a more sustainable and environmentally responsible way to feed. Add all this up and it's why controlled release Osmocote is all I'll feed my garden with. Oh, and one last tip: when you're looking at a fertiliser for the whole garden, one with a soil wetter is best, as it makes nutrient penetration more efficient. And if you have a specialised need, pick one that's been specifically formulated, like fruit and citrus, or native gardens, or roses, gardenias and azaleas. And then you'll get the best results in every part of your garden, just like those amazing gardens that you've marvelled at, all from as little as one application a year. Too easy.